So I've talked about the data structures, the booleans, the strings, the primitives in general, and some of the more advanced ones, which are hashes and arrays. So I can keep my chessboard away. I hope it was useful, and I can bring back my beautiful flower. Okay. So in this one, I'm talking about logical operators, right? And I know it sounds like a very big buzzword, but trust me, it's one of the most intuitive things. I'll be focusing primarily on three logical operators, which are the AND operator, the OR operator, and the NOT operator. Right. So logical operators are just a way to combine different expressions and kind of like get a sense of the outputs in a conditional statement. So for example, I can say, I am a guy. I think that's true. And I'm wearing a green shirt. That's true. So that should resolve to be true. So basically, we'll be looking at some of the different combinations we can have for different logical operators, starting from the AND. We can have the true and false, which will resolve to a false. We can have the false and false, which will resolve to a false. And we can have the true and true, which will resolve to a true. So for more context, when you have the true and false, for example, I'd say Demlade is a software engineer and Donald Trump is a stripper. Now, I don't know if Donald Trump is actually a stripper, but I'll just assume that's a false, right? So true and false. What would you say that statement is? You can just pause and just think about it. So if I just tell you, Demlade is a software engineer and Donald Trump is a stripper, is that statement factually correct? Is it true? You probably say it's false because Donald Trump is not a stripper. Last I checked, it was the former president of the United States of America. So that's a false. So you can really just think of many of these combinations using normal English or your day-to-day communication, and you see that they actually make a lot of sense. Another one is the false and false, right? Obviously, that will resolve to a false. If I tell you, Ronaldo is a basketballer and Bill Gates is a tailor. Now, I'm not very sure whether Bill Gates is a tailor or not, but last I checked, he's not a tailor, and Ronaldo is not a basketballer. So we know that that is definitely a false, right? So false and false translate to a false. And in the AND operator, last but not the least, we have the true and true, which is set to a true. So if I tell you, Wizkid is a musician and Messi is a footballer, that statement is factually correct, so that resolves to a true. So as you can see, based on the AND operator, when you have the true and false, it resolves to a false. When you have the false and false, it resolves to a false. And when you have the true and true, it resolves to a true. But when you really see it in normal condition, in code condition, or in a product requirement document, when the developer says, if user has money in account and user can withdraw, do this. You know that resolves to a true. Right, overall, because of if the user actually has money in the account and user can withdraw, that resolves to a true. Now, looking at the next logical operator, we talk about the OR. Right, and like the AND, this is also, you can use your intuition to guess what the output would be, right? So when you have the true or false, that resolves to a true. When you have the false or true, that resolves to a true. When you have the false or false, that resolves to a false. And when you have the true or true, that resolves to a true. Let me give you an example. Demlade is a software engineer, or Donald Trump is a stripper. That resolves to a true because one of them is correct. So you have the true or false, which is a true overall as an overall statement, right? Another example for the false or false, where you have Ronaldo is a basketballer or Bill Gates is a tailor. I mean, that statement is false altogether because neither of them is correct. So false or false resolve to a false. And last but not the least, when you have the true or true. If I say Wizkid is a musician or Messi is a footballer, that is a true statement. So that resolves to a true. So like I said, for the OR statement, you can also think of this in the context of, you can think of it quite intuitively and get the correct answer. So in real life situation, you want a situation whereby you say, so you say if user have money in his account or user has credits, debit this amount, right? So that should resolve to a true, even if one of them is false. So if user does not have money in the account, but user has credits, that resolves to a true. If user does not have credits, but has money in the account, that resolves to a true. And if both of them are true, that resolves to a true. But if both of them are false, that resolves to a false. So you can really just think of many of these things intuitively, right? Like normal English, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Finally, I'll talk about the NOT operator, and I think that's pretty straightforward. You have the NOT true is equals to false, and the NOT false is equals to true. This is used a lot if you say, oh, if user does not have money in account, do this. So you can, in programming, you can translate that to if not in bracket user have money in account. So that would just be like, that will resolve. If the user actually have money in account, that will resolve to a false. And if the user does not have money in account, that will resolve to a true. Because if not, user have money in account. So I hope this was able to really explain the logical operators to you. In some way, when you are when a condition is proposed to you, just really think of it in like normal English, just read it out, right? And you can use your intuition to actually guess what the correct answer would be. So a quick brain teaser here, you have the true and false, resolve it, or true and true, in bracket, and false. Tell me what to the final answer be. Will it be a true or a false? Let me know your answer in the description, in the discussion below. See you. Bye.